All right, we're at 10 o'clock, so I'll get started. This could be a very short one today, girls, depending on how well you did yesterday. Were there any questions from 1 to 4 or 5 from, morning, Emma, 1 to 4 or 5 from yesterday that you want to go through? I went through 1A, B, and C. Is there anything else that you want to do this morning, girls?
Can you do 1D, please?
Absolutely. All right. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is line up so that I have one of the variables and its additive inverse across from each other. So right now I see that I have a 2x here and a 2x here. Now, the book would tell you that, hey, you can just go ahead and subtract them, and that works. There's no problem with that. The only thing is I find that when we start subtracting things, we start to make errors with our signs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the top one by -1. So I'm going to times everything in the top by -1. Now again, there are multiple ways in which we can solve these questions. They don't have to be done the same way. All right. So now I'm going to rewrite my a below here, and that's -2x plus 3y equals -20. Now I'm going to add those two together. So this gives me 0 right here. This gives me 5y right here. And this gives me -8 right here. So that's going to give me y equals, I'm going to divide by 5. So I end up with a fraction here. So that's not ideal. All right. Makes it a little more difficult to do. But we'll work with it anyways. So I got y is equal to -8 over 5. So I'm going to use equation B. And I'm going to go 2x plus 2 times -8 over 5 equals 12. Now, the easiest way to do this question when it comes to fractions is get rid of the denominator on the fraction so that I'm just working with whole numbers, and then I'll divide it back in after. So I'm going to multiply everything by 5. So I'm going to multiply 2x by 5. That gives me 10x. I'm just going to change colors here. So that gives me 10x here. Plus 2 times -8 is -16. And if I times it by 5, that cancels with that. And then this equals to 60 right here. So I have 10x plus -16 equals 60. So I times this by 5, times that by 5, and I times this by 5. Now I don't have to worry about the fractions. I'm going to add 16 and then divide by 10. And they likely, I would think, probably reduce this to 38 over 5. So my coordinates in this question are 38 over 5 and -8 over 5. All right, so I did the easy ones yesterday. I left you the hard one. Okay, so all I say -1. Is that all right? Do we understand what I did there? Emma? We're okay? All right. Other questions from 1 to 5. This is not an easy section, so I'm suspecting you have more questions. Does anybody want to ask a different question this morning? Don't be shy, girls. We have lots of time here to do this. Any questions this morning, ladies? Yeah, I absolutely can. Before I go, how many of you were able to get through to question 4? Go one at a time here. Yes, no. Did you get to the end? Emma Boley, did you get to the end of number 4?
Yep.
Okay. Emma P?
Nope.
Okay. Avery?
I got to the end of 3.
Okay. Haley?
I only got to like halfway through 2.
Okay, awesome. All right, that is no problem, girls. So let's just go through it. So let's start with 2A, and let's work through this together. Let's take some time this morning because, like I said, this is an extremely important method because we're going to use it again in grade 11. So we want to make sure that we know how to do this and do this well. So I'll start with 2A. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is it asks you to put it into ax plus by equals c form. So I'm going to do that as I'm writing out the question. So b is going to be 2x plus 4y equals, and I'm going to add 12 to the other side. Okay? So now, what I want to do, again, my whole intention here is to get it so that when I add two coefficients together, or a term together, like x and 2x, I want to get it so that they equal 0. So what do I have to multiply one of them by in order to cancel out with the other one? So I look at this guy right here, and I've got a 1x here, and I have a 2x here. So if I wanted to cancel these two out, I can multiply this whole top thing by -2. Because -2x and 2x gives me 0. If I wanted to use the y's, I would have to do a little more work. I'd have to times the 3y by 4, or -4, and then the 4y by 3. So I'd have to multiply them each in order to cancel them out. I want to get them both at 12. So the easy way is times this guy by -2. All right, so I go to A again. And I'm multiplying every term by -2. So that's -2x minus 6y equals +2. All right, I've lined it up already. So it's lined up below. 2x and -2x, 0. 4y and -6y, -2y. 12 and 2 make 14. Y equals -7. All right, once I have y equals -7, I use one of the equations, I plug it in, and I want to solve for my other value, for my x value. So this is x minus 21 equals -1, x equals 20. So 20 and -7 are my coordinates. Again, what I'm doing is I have two equations, two linear equations, two lines that are somewhere along the way going to intersect. And where they intersect is where the coordinate is that satisfies both. So I want to make sure that I can find out where they are intersecting at. So that's 20 and -7. All right. Questions? Okay. Emma, you all right?
Yep, I'm good now.
Okay. Let's try B. Let's do B together. Okay. Again, I want to write it in the form ax plus by equals c, meaning I want the x and the y on the same side and the c by itself. So I always start by writing that out as is. So in B, I'm going to add the 2x to the 3y, and that's going to be equal to +1. In the second equation, I'm going to subtract the 2y to this side, and that's going to be equal to 10. So again, The first step in all of these is arranging the question, all right? Arranging the question so that I have ax plus by plus c. And the reason I'm doing it is so that when I add them together, I add them just like you were taught how to add 2 and 3 and 4 and 5-digit numbers when you were younger, okay? So now I look at that and I say to myself, okay, what can I multiply one or both of these equations by in order to cancel them out, all right? So I look at this. If I had to do the 3, if I wanted to get rid of the y's, I'd have to multiply this by 2 and this by 3. That's easy enough. That's okay. If I was to cancel out the 2 and the 4, I would have to multiply this guy by a -2. Also easy. So whichever one you want to use is fine. Okay, so I like, again, if I only have to change one, that makes my life a lot easier. So I'm going to times that first one by -2. Rewrite it. Now I have them lined up. Okay. So now 4x and -4x is 0. This gives me -8y equals 8. So -2y minus 6y is -8y. 10 subtract 2 is 8. Y is equal to -1. Use one of the two equations to solve for x. 2x plus 3 times -1 equals 1. 2x plus a -3 equals 1. 2x is equal to 4. X is equal to 2. My coordinate is 2 and -1. And again, feel free to use your graphing calculator to check this. All right? That's okay. If I was to not use my graphing calculator, if I wanted to check it to make sure that I've got it right, I use the second equation and I put x and y in and I make sure the left side and the right side equal. So I'm going to go 4 times 2 minus 2 times -1, and that should equal 10. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 2 times -1, that's plus 2, equals 10. I've got it right. Okay? So the coordinate, when put into either one of these equations, the left side is going to equal the right side, meaning that coordinate is on both of those lines. And that's the correct answer, 2 and -1. Okay? I go quickly here. I feel like it's not as easy to do this through the camera. So if you have questions or you want me to slow down, if you want to ask anything, please just unmute yourself and ask. All right, let's look at E now. So I'll look at 2E. So again, I'm going to rewrite this equation out so that I got ax plus by plus c. So I've got a. I'm going to add 3x to the 2y. That equals -9. Then I'm going to add the 9 to the other side. All right, so I have a unique situation right here. Something's going to happen here. All right, so again, I want to cancel out one of the variables. So let's work with the x's again. So 3x and 2x. I know they both go into 6. So if I can make one a -6 and one a +6, they're going to cancel out. So I'm going to multiply this guy by -2, and I'm going to multiply this second guy by 3. Okay? So that gives me -6x, -4y equals 18. When I multiply the second guy, I get 6x plus 9y equals 27. All right? 6x and negative 6x is 0. Gives me 5y equals 45. Y is equal to 9. So by multiplying the top equation by negative 2 and the bottom equation by 3, I ended up getting a negative 6 and a plus 6. Could have done the same thing here, multiplied by negative 3 and 2, and the y's would have canceled out. So now that I have my y value, I need to find out what the x value of the coordinate is. So 3x plus 2 times 9 equals negative 9. 3x equals negative 27. I'm going to subtract 18 to this side. X is equal to negative 9. Negative 9 and 9 are my coordinates. Okay. Questions, concerns about that one? These questions look easy when they're done for you, but I know that they're not an easy thing to do, so I understand. Okay. All right, there's no other questions about it. I'm going to move to, I'll do one more for you. I'll take one out of the 4. I'll take the starred one, the hard one on 4B. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to write out, well, let's just follow through and you'll see what happens here. Okay, the first one has fractions. So I have 1x minus 1/3 y, and that's equal to 1. And then my b value is x plus 1/4 y equals 2. All right, so when we learn to write in general form for linear equations, we understood that we had ax plus by plus c equals 0, and that a and b were not allowed to be fractions. So I'm going to take the same idea as to when I worked with the general form, and I'm going to change both of these by getting rid of the fractions for them. So in the equation number 1, so I may have to do a couple extra steps here, but in equation number 1, I'm going to times everything by 6. Okay, so I'm going to times this by 6, this by 6, and this by 6. So my a becomes this, 3x minus 2y equals 6. All right, 6 divided by 2 is 3, that's how I get 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2, so I get 2y, and 1 times 6 is 6. All right, and in the bottom one here, I'm going to times everything by 4. So that's going to give me 4x plus y equals 8. Okay, so if I'm using the elimination method here, here's my 2 new equations. I want to line them up so that one of them can be canceled. One of the variables can be canceled. I have a negative 2y here, and I have a plus y here. So just like substitution method, you want to work with the one that has a coefficient of 1. Because if I multiply this by 2, everything here by 2, those are going to cancel out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to times this by 2. So I rewrite the first equation. A stays the same. 3x now becomes 8x plus 2y equals 16. All right, so I multiplied each of these by 2. That lined this up, and the negative 2y and the 2y lined up to give me 0 equals 2. Okay, and again, back to the same thing that I always do here. Sorry. Back to the same thing. I got to find out what y is. All right, so I'm going to use, now normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm actually going to use this equation right here. Just in case. The reason I wouldn't use it is because I may have made a mistake. But I got to trust that I did the right work. So I got 4 times 2 plus y equals 8. Y is equal to, subtract 8, 0. So my coordinate is 2 and 0. So if I substituted it in here, 2 times a half is 1, 0, 1 equals 1. I know I've got it right. Okay? But again, for you, the easiest way to check all your answers is to use Desmos and graph it. Okay? Graph these equations. Graph them the exact way. You put them in the exact way on the as they're written. You don't have to do any algebra for it in order to do that. All right? Any questions about 1, 2, 3, or 4, girls? Anything from 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay. All right, I'm going to look at question 6, and then that's all I need to cover with you today then, ladies. All right, so question 6. So again, I said it's going to be extremely important that you are able to do 1 to 4 and do it quite well, because the easy part should be when you're given the equation, you can use the substitution or elimination method and you can solve it. When it comes to the problems and writing out the equations, this is where you're going to have issues. Okay, you're going to find this part the most difficult part. So you have to really hammer in 1 to 5. Those are important. So make sure that sometime today you go right from 1 to 5, and maybe even go back through it a second time just to make sure that you can do it. All right. So I'll look at question 6, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and finish this off. So it says Mrs. Chan's math class contributed $2 coins and $1 coins to an earthquake relief fund. The number of $1 coins contributed was 8 less than 5 times the number of $2 coins contributed. If the class raised a total of $160, how many coins of each type were collected? All right. So first things first, defining statement. X will be the $1 coins. Y will be the $2 coins. All right. So the first and most difficult statement is the number of $1 coins contributed was. Okay, so X was means equals 8 less than 5 times the $2 coins. So I take 5, I times it by Y, and I subtract 8. And that gives me equation number 1. Okay? And like I said, this is the hard one to do. All right? In B, we're using the amounts now. The amounts. So that means that if I have 5 $2 coins, the amount is 5 times 2, which is 10. Whereas if I have 5 $1 coins, the amount is 1 times 5, so there's $5. So I have to write it out like this. X plus 2 times Y, and that should equal my total amount of coins, my total amount for the coins, which is $160. And then it asks you to solve it, okay? So let's rewrite this guy. So I'm going to rewrite A now. X minus 5Y equals negative 8. B can stay the same. All right, so now I have both equations. They're both in AX plus BY equals C form. And I notice that I have an X and an X here. So I can't cancel them out when I add them. So I need to make one of them negative. And as soon as I change one, I have to change everything in that statement. So I'm going to multiply all of these by -1 in this first statement. So I'm going to times this by -1. That gives me -x plus 5y equals 8. Add them together. $7y equals 168. So the x's cancel. The x's cancel. X and -x make 0. 2y and 5y make 7. 160 and 8 make 168. Divide by 7. Y is 24. Using the first statement, x equals 5 times 24, subtract 8. Okay? So 5 times 24 is 120, subtract 8 is 112. So I have 112 loonies and 24 toonies. And together that makes $160. All right, so tomorrow we will spend time going through questions 6 to 14. That one's going to take some time to do, and I'm going to ask you to do to start the questions off and not actually solve them tomorrow, and then we'll figure that out. But like I said, this is important for grade 11, so I want to make sure that we are going through this well and doing a good job of it. So are there any other questions from 1 to 5 this morning, ladies, that we can do? We've covered a lot of them, but I kind of want you to go back through them yourselves. Is there anything that you need to ask today? No? Okay. So if you can take some time this morning and get to the end of question 5 for tomorrow, that would be ideal. And I'll start the class looking at anything from 1 to 5, and then we'll start going through these word problems tomorrow one at a time so that we can make sure that we get a handle on it. Okay? Anything else, ladies? Are we doing okay? Go ahead, Emma.
Yep.
You're good?
Yep.
Okay, Haley's good. Awesome. Okay, girls, have a good day. Do a little bit of this math. It should take you about a half hour tops, and then we'll go through it again tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Okay, have a good day, girls. Talk to you later. Bye.